Hola, bom dia. Montaner with a Good Morning Portugal show from expatsportugal.com. That rather marvellous footage you saw there was the work of artist Deborah Davies, who joins me this morning to have what I think is going to be a very interesting discussion about her art and really about the power of art. I would like to think this morning a little bit different then here on the Good Morning Portugal show. How are you this morning? Do get your messages and comments coming in, please, and we'll go through those with Deborah, who's in the green room at the moment, taking it easy in her Sintra Palace, folks. She has the most amazing gaff in Sintra. And it's going to be a real treat to speak to her this morning. So, as I say, slightly different. But first of all, let's have a quick look at the weather and the events for the week ahead. That's what we tend to do on a Monday, isn't it? Is have a bit of a chat and see what's going on for the weather-wise and event-wise for the week ahead. So quickly then, on the weather side of things, let's get that screen shared of the expatsportugal.com weather and have a look and see what's what. Probably should have done this a little bit earlier. While that's loading up, let me tell you then how the week is looking, and we'll come back to the weather in just a moment. Tuesday is our kind of property, money, consumer kind of day. And tomorrow, Sean Maguire, who comes on and says, "Bon dia, my dear," and in his lovely brogue, he's going to be showing us around a virtual tour of his. He's here. There he is. Look, he's saying good morning already. So, bon dia to you, Sean. Come back to those all important comments in a little while. But we'll have a little look around Sean's house in Castelo Branco, which I think will be a real treat. Very atmospheric, evocative place. And you'll see the sort of lovely property you can find in central Portugal. On Wednesday, it will be Ask Anything About Portugal, which is really popular, where the hive mind here will help you out on any questions, inquiries, comments, suggestions, that sort of thing about Portugal. So the residents, the expat residents, will help you if you're a dreamer on your way to Portugal, hopefully here soon. Thursday, we will go to the Ribatejo Valley, an underrated and underspoken, if that's even a phrase, a thing, but not many people talk about the Ribatejo Valley, the going up country out of Lisbon and that beautiful part of Portugal. And Thomas, I hope, will be with us on Thursday. All of these subject to change, of course, in these volatile times. But Thomas, I hope to have a conversation with because he's just started a Ribatejo group on Facebook and he'll be singing the praises of that lovely region. Ask our expats. On Thursday evening is the webinar of Expats Portugal and the wine club in the evening at 9, of course, as well. But we'll still have a lovely evening, starting with the Ask Our Expats team and a webinar chat with them. And then another one. I think I'm leading the wine club charge on this Thursday. We've had a reshuffle. If you fancy yourself as a wine ninja, there is an opening for you. Friday, Feel Good Friday. Emma Belter of the Belters will be here. They will both be here and doing a little bit of a live gig for us. You may have seen Emma Belter. What a woman she is, and she's been performing online, of course, because that's all she's been able to do. And she's going to come and perform, talk to us about her part of Portugal, and perform a number or two with the Belters lineup on Friday, and then of course finishing the week with the Man Cave. We had a fantastic expat Man Cave last Friday. Thank you to you if you were part of that. Okay, quick look at the weather then before we get. Deborah, Didi on the screen. Lisbon at the moment, 14 degrees. Just looking ahead for the rest of the week. Oh, flipping heck. More rain to come from Wednesday. I think it is. We are feeling that mildness, though, aren't we? So 16 degrees the high on Wednesday, and then rain for the foreseeable future after that. I thought we'd had enough rain by now, but no, nature thinks not. Porto, raining at the moment. Light intensity drizzle. The LID, light intensity drizzle, not drivel. Sorry, Porto people. And a high of 14 looking to the rest of the week. But rain forecast every day in Porto. Coimbra, 13 degrees and misty. The high 16. It's not as warm as last week, and rain forecast every day. Oh no, that's my part of the country, the Coimbra weather pattern. Faro, 14 degrees, broken clouds, and a high of 17 today and tomorrow. But rain, after Thursday, rain forecast. So sorry not to be able to bring you better news weather-wise. Let's bring Deborah Davies onto the screen now. Good morning to you, Deborah. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Everyone okay too?
I think. Should we say hello to a few people who've rocked up this morning? Let's ask them how their weekend's been. Gary Austin famously said he saw a different kind of leaf go past his window. couple of weeks ago. Did you have anything more exciting happen to you over this lockdown weekend than that sort of thing? Catherine, hello, over there in the United States. Early hours of the morning there. Bon dia to you, Catherine. Hank's here, of course, from California. Good morning, friends. John with the bon dia, my dear. Gail, Lynn, bon dia. I got my Portuguese residency last September. However, I was not assigned a family doctor. I have a doctor. This is very personal, Gail. I have a doctor through my private health insurance. Should my doctor send info to SNS? I actually don't know the answer to that, but I'm going to guess yes. Joel might. He's here too. Safiro 001, the secret agent of Porto. Not very secret now, Joel. Bon dia to you. Bon dia, rapages. Hey, good morning, guys. Very good, Gary. Talking to Gary a bit earlier on. Any more interesting leaves this weekend? And we're going to be going into, that wonderful footage. Leaves, trees, forests. It's DD's environment we'll be talking about in a little while. Hola, bon dia from Pete Bleach. Great weekend financially for doing nothing. My silver. Oh, look at him boasting. He's like a character from a fairy tale, surrounded by not piles of gold but piles of silver. Mr. Midas over there in London. My silver has got up, and the pound versus the euro rate is great too. And were you part of that game shop thing as well, Pete? And how about your Bitcoin? Hope you and the Munson family had a great weekend. Thank you, Pete. Druba, very good morning from a wet Sintra farming family. Guess what, Druba? Deborah's your neighbour. Hank Stalica, let's hear an American accent. What, from me? Okay, I'll give that a go. What about you, Deborah? Can you do an American accent?
Not very well.
Not very well. No, I'm not. Okay, not very well. That's an American accent in California, isn't it? Bon dia, Torres from Fiona. Hi, Fiona. How are you doing? Carolyn in Moscow. Bon dia. Look at all these people around the world. Deborah. John Gibson. Bon dia. Lee McGrady, the head gardener, here almost on time. 0 degrees in St. Louis, Missouri, USA. Goof morning. Well, that's nice. Afsani, it's different, isn't it? Najibi to Debs. Hank Stalica says, got my meeting with Gilles to set up fine. Oh, that's good news, Hank. Excited to meet with her in about 7 hours. One step closer to buying y'all a beer in person. Excellent. Quite right, too. Grassa Amore. Donna Grassa's here. Everybody saying bon dia. Jacqueline Branco, bon dia. Hank Stalica saying, hi, Joel. Good to see you. Oh, this is the crosstalk in the group. Fantastic. Penny Albertella. They're coming in thick and fast this morning. Bon dia. Grey but dry and Brixham in Devon. Been studying new jewellery maker videos all weekend and barely made it out of the PJs. That sounds like a great weekend. I'm sure Dee will approve of that. Sorry about a goof morning. No, that's fine with us. Nilda, sorry, and bon dia from Oslo. How global and international are we? A wonderful welcome for my guest this morning, Deborah Davies, talking about art this morning. So how are you? And what part of Portugal are you in, Deborah? Or Dee?
I'm in Sintra, but I could be anywhere in the world for the amount of time I've gone out and explored.
Yeah, this is an unfortunate thing, isn't it? You arrived in the end of last year, straight into lockdown. So as you say, you could and might be anywhere in the world right now.
Yeah.
What a shame! What a shame!
Yeah. And there's so much fog where I am anyway, so that sort of diminishes even what I can see. So I was quite jealous of the person who saw a leaf.
Yeah. So yes, you can't even look out the window like Kermit the Frog and muse upon the view. And Jerry saying good morning, or excellent news from Hank as well with his D7 meeting. That's fantastic. So tell us about yourself, Deborah. I mean, we had a look at your wonderful work in a forest, I think, in the UK, right? And I should probably call up your website and talk through it, right? Because that's where all your beautiful work is immortalized online.
So, I mean, one of the reasons that I moved to Portugal was because I make very large installations and big art sculptures. Yeah. And it's incredibly difficult to make that kind of work when you live somewhere as cold as England, where you have to work outdoors a lot of the time, or you have to be able to afford a very large indoor space. Yeah. So I was hoping if I came to Portugal in the summer months, I would be able to make large art and employ other people who were had amazing fabrication skills. And Portugal's got a really strong tradition in crafts and handiwork. So I was hoping that my projects could employ some local people, or I could pick up some kinds of crafts and skills that I don't already possess, or progress ones I already have. Yeah. So I don't always make gigantic sculptures, but I did an MA in fine art, and for my degree show, I made a Statue of Liberty. I'm very interested in political and social art, and the project was going to be small scale, so I got a matchstick kit of the Statue of Liberty. And the great thing about the matchstick kit was it came in, you built up little panels and then sort of turned it into this sculpture that was probably about this big. And I was living in this shared house with one particular crazy mad person called Stuart French. And he's a builder, and he said, well, these are, 2.53 millimeter matchsticks. Why don't we make it out of 2x2 construction timber? Because that's a good idea. And I said, yeah, all right then. So we started and then we kind of stopped and then we started again. So there was a bit of sort of, this is just a ridiculous idea and it's getting very expensive. But we finished it. We made it over 8 months. We couldn't do anything over the winter. It was just too cold. We moved the base inside. We were lucky that we were living in a huge place. We were actually living in an old people's home, and we would like security guards there so that it didn't get vandalized or occupied by squatters.
Oh, wow.
So we had a big indoor space to work in towards the end. And what I do is I exhibit this Statue of Liberty in various states of demise. So in some galleries, as you can see, it's fallen on its side. It was at one particular gallery, and the one to the far left was at another gallery. Very few galleries can exhibit it in its full state, but I would never want it to be exhibited in its full state anyway, because then it would lose the meaning. And the meaning is, America's in trouble. And the history of the Statue of Liberty is really important as well, because it was a present from France to America because they wanted France to emulate American politics. They were very impressed with how their governments ran. So the one at the top of that page was when we went into full lockdown in the UK, where I just decided to put it on my driveway and invite the neighbours round. So I had...
Of course, like as you would.
Garden.
Incredible, absolutely incredible.
And she has dropped her torch because she's no longer liberty enlightening the world. She was quite cross. So that's my liberty story.
Well, you're getting American feedback here, Dee Dee. How times have changed, says Hank.
From what? I'm not quite sure what he means.
I think that's with the interplay between France and America, which I think has always been a strange and interesting relationship. I think that includes the French fry, obviously, and that's no lie. As a response to one of your comments there, Penny, loving your work. I've always had a yen to make large metal sculptures. Is that Devonshire for a yearning? I wonder. And Susan's just joined us. Bon dia to Susan. Well, I love this, what you say, because you say you're interested in sort of political work and challenging narratives. We couldn't be more in a time of narratives flying around, could we, with the pandemic? This is who owns the narrative, dominates the world in a way at the moment. What have you made of this time in human history as an artist?
I think the thing that underlies all the work that I do is I do want my work to be political and have some social comment. But I also believe that any artwork that I produce has got to have a really strong concept, but it's also got to look good. So there's lots of times people don't understand what political or social statement I'm trying to make. But I'd absolutely hate it if they walked away going, I've no idea what she's talking about, and she's made it really badly. And I do know that lots of people who don't understand the concept behind my work or bring very, very strong opinions of their own, which is even better. I also believe that sometimes the beauty within the work can actually change people or help people or soothe people. So I think that's what I hope my artwork brings. Over lockdown, I was meant to put work into a woodland area in the June, but we were still in lockdown, and it had been delayed, and it was going to be installed in the October. And that was the footage that you showed at the beginning, where I made the willow balls. And I literally just sat through lockdown making one ball after the next, after the next, after the next, not entirely sure what I was going to do with them. And then when I submitted my project idea to the Woodland, they said, well, it hasn't really got a connection with the heathlands that you're exhibiting in. And I said, well, I'm going to collect litter from the woodlands and put it inside the balls. And they said, well, there's no litter. So there was a point in time where we didn't think I had a project because it didn't reflect the surroundings that it was in. So I went away and I just thought, well, hang on, I'm making work from natural objects. It's going into a nature reserve. The only reason it's not being accepted is because there's a problem with categorization. Because the willow's not native to the heathlands doesn't mean to say that it shouldn't be there because it is still part of nature. So that's what I wrote my proposal around, it was around being a foreigner in a place that's familiar but where you don't quite fit.
Yeah.
And
so that has a resonance now for you and for many of us here, of course.
Yeah, perhaps it was reflecting what was going to happen to me 6 months later. So this has probably been received as one of my most successful pieces. I think because a lot of people got to see it as well, because it's an area where people walk their dogs and people were getting more exercise over lockdown.
Yeah.
And restriction to certain places. And lots of people would lie beneath it. I think you showed a shot looking up.
Oh, let's have a look.
And it's just the simplicity of it, I think.
I think it's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. And then that got seen by another gallery, as is the way sometimes, and thankfully for me, it got seen by another gallery. So it's been installed in a gallery called the Watts Gallery. And it is then going to go to another gallery called the Hannah Peshaw Gallery in April. End of March, if I can get back to the UK and move it.
That's so amazing. We've got some comments coming in. And part of introducing you here might be that someone takes a shine to what you're doing and then we can get it over into Portugal and see it in a Portuguese environment, right? So you are open to that? I'm
open. So what I would do is, because the Spheres one is already it's already commissioned until the end of November. Okay. It's already being exhibited till the end of November. I would actually make a new one and exhibit it here in Portugal. Wow. Make it from scratch.
Okay, and then there's contact details are on your website. Are they for any sort of any visionaries or people who or commissioners or anybody like that who thinks, yes, I must have that in my place?
So yeah, I've done private commissions for people. I had an email from a woman that was very bizarre. She just said, I have a dead tree at the bottom of my garden and your work would look very good in it. Could you please give me?
Yes, of course.
I'm not sure what the relevance of the tree being dead was, but it did make me laugh.
Amazing. So let's go back to some of the comments coming in. Your work is this is the whole idea, of course. I would think anyway, in my estimation, that your artists are there to stimulate people's thoughts and imaginations. Deborah, Statue of Liberty was because the French hate the English. More French troops died in the War of Independence than Americans. They are doing the same today, restricting travel now. Great work. All right, Pete. He's soon sounding a bit bitter after his big win at the weekend. Thanks, Pete, for that. Is it made of wood, Deborah? If so, what kind of wood is it made of? This was the Statue of Liberty work, wasn't it?
The Statue of Liberty one. So the Statue of Liberty is made by 2x2 construction timber.
Amazing. Okay.
Panelized construction timber that you put outdoors, so it'll last 25 years.
So this was this a housemate or a friend who was a chippy?
It was a housemate. Yeah, he's not just a chippy. He actually worked for the council at the time. And, right. He used to go into buildings and mend anything that had fallen off the wall or the ceiling had come in, or fabricator, can do anything. I mean, the guy's
a clever bloke, yeah.
And he was living in the house as well. It was full of this odd arrangement of people who were all there for strange, at certain points in their life, something had happened which had caused them all to have to go and live in this building. And
sounds amazing. Sounds like it sounds like it should be a Wes Anderson movie, I think.
Yeah, and it was opposite the university where I was doing my master's degree. So I just used to fall out of bed and just walk across the road, literally walk across the road. And they wouldn't let me build the sculpture at university because, weirdly enough, you're not allowed to use power tools in universities in case you hurt yourself.
Well, very sensible.
Yeah. So they said, well, we'll give you a technician. They can do all the cuts for you on the chop saw. And I said, really? There's probably about 6,000 cuts. Really? Somebody's really going to do that for me? I don't think so. So I made it in the back. And then what happened was I found out that Stuart did all these maintenance, and he was doing bits of maintenance around the house. And I literally followed him around going, can you show me how to do that? And he'd go, do what? I'm just adjusting the closing mechanism on a door. And I go, that's okay, just teach me.
I'm just making a cup of tea. Go away.
Then he'd knock on my door and he'd go, I'm going to go and sort the heating system out. Do you want to come and help me? Thinking I'd say no. And I was like, no, I will. I'll come and help you. And then he started buying me tools as little presents. And then he suggested we work on something together.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to underestimate his skills calling him a chippy, but I could just imagining, he said, well, yeah, okay, let's get started. Let's do it in 2 by 2. And then, like 3 weeks later, you're still building away there. So he's as much part of it as you are, in a sense.
Oh, yeah. It wouldn't have got made if it hadn't been for him.
Amazing. Okay, so back to a few more comments before I really want to talk to you about this, the Amazon packaging work, because that's a real sign of the times, isn't it? Pete Bleach, so true, says Hank over there in California. We owe a lot to the French. Drives me nuts when my fellow Americans take all the credit for liberating Paris. At best, we were even, in my estimation. Got the sentiment of that, Hank. I'd love to see this artwork bigger than on my phone screen. What fantastic. I'll stick that on the screen as well, so you've definitely got that, Fiona. And what a crime to show your work on a smartphone. I'm sorry about that, everybody, but it's a start. Go have a look for yourselves, and with any luck, we'll get some of this wonderful work over to Portugal as well. Penny's saying, can you tell us about Starway? We'll come back to that, because I think that'll be our conclusion, won't it?
Oh, okay.
That's probably the piece most likely to come here, possibly.
Yes, it is, yeah.
By looking at your art, I have somehow similar feelings, as in the Vigeland Park in Oslo, Norway. I like it. Thanks for sharing, says Milda. So you've got a new fan in Norway. Hank, wonderful interview with Didi so far. And of course, we must talk about why you love Portugal, given that this is the Good Morning Portugal show. But loving talking about your art so far here, as I'm sure everybody else is. Bon dia peeps from Victoria Benson, who was at a great dance at the indie disco that we put on Friday night. You were the star of the show. Thank you, Victoria. Hank saying good morning to Hank. You're doing great work networking in the comments there. Much appreciated. So, the Amazon piece. I mean, if I may call it the Amazon piece, Risk Economy. Tell us more about this one, please.
Economy. I was sitting in my house happily. I was telling you at the beginning of the show that I make 3D sculptures and can't draw or paint to save my life. And I'm absolutely mortified that I can't, because as an artist, everybody expects you to be able to draw. I mean, I can't even sit with a flipping architect and say, this is what I want, and draw a sketch without them going, which way up is it? So I just thought, well, I'm going to learn to draw and paint. So I've been doing some online courses, and I have definitely got better. And so I was like ordering all this stuff from Amazon and getting really charged up about this art that I was going to make. And then I just suddenly thought I wouldn't have all these art supplies if it wasn't for all these delivery people. And I had lots of friends who lost their jobs, and they were doing deliveries for various companies. And some of them would say that they were really scared of catching the virus. It was sort of right at the beginning when we knew less.
Yes, of course.
And I remember just looking at boxes after boxes after boxes arriving with all these things that I needed. And I just thought, oh, well, that's a bit ironic, isn't it? I make social and political art about people who have to risk life and limb and their health. So I made a sculpture out of all the Amazon boxes and called it Risk Economy, and it got accepted into an art gallery. And so people have seen my work sporadically in between lockdowns. So it's literally just made of Amazon boxes.
Yeah, I wonder if Jeff Bezos has seen it yet. But I mean, it's a staggering sort of reflection of our times, isn't it? Because I think a lot of people must look at their empty Amazon boxes and think, "Wow, this is a strange sort of waste, isn't it?" You know, and all the other things you think about with Amazon, like taking over the whole world and delivering stuff by drones, etc. But yeah, let's move away for a moment from your artwork and talk a little bit more about Portugal. I mean, you're saying that Portugal would really suit, you know, the bigger space, employing and working, collaborating with Portuguese people. What else was it that got you to be here? And I understand, you know, you're in this difficult situation where you are here, but you might as well not be here because you've been locked in your house, you know, for a month or whatever. But what was the initial attraction to Portugal? And why? Sorry, go on.
From 2010 to 2014, I worked for University of London. And I worked at a place called the Centre for Creative Collaboration, which was a physical, I mean, it was a real project, but it was based off the back of a research paper into what the future of the workplace was going to be. I think heavily influenced by people like Apple, where you would get lots of different people from lots of different disciplines to collaborate across different skills and innovate. And it was my job to find interesting people, and my job and two other people's jobs as well. There was a team of us where we would have purposeful collisions with people so that they could spark ideas off each other. And one of the women there was a woman called Mariana, who had a company called the Thinking Hotel. She does lots of design thinking. And she's Portuguese, and she was living in London and had been for a long, long time. And she would talk to me about Portugal, but she would talk to me about why she was in London and why she wasn't in Portugal. And then with the Brexit and other things that had happened, she came back to Portugal. She lives in Lisbon. It's who I was staying with when I first got here. And for the 2 years before the pandemic hit, she was saying, you need to be in Portugal. It is full of artists. It's full of innovation. Web Summit moved from Ireland to Lisbon, and I used to go to the Web Summit a lot. So I'm really into technology, and a lot of technology ends up in my artwork, which we haven't seen yet. And Mariana it was my friend Mariana who said, you need to be here. This is really kicking here now. It is, it's just very innovative, and I think you'll really like the vibe. So I had it on my radar, and then I was getting frustrated with needing to work outdoors in better weather, not completely appreciating that Portugal isn't the Mediterranean. I am embarrassed to admit. So I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do in the winter going forward, but I am looking forward to spring and summer where I can work outdoors. And that's the reason that I came here. But of course, I've come in the middle of a pandemic. So all the tech entrepreneurs and innovation and everything that attracted me here is not operational at the minute.
I think, I mean, it's so unfortunate the circumstances you've come into, but I think you've landed spiritually, and everything else as you move around Portugal, what your friend said, I think will become absolutely apparent to you. I mean, you've got a sense of it already anyway, haven't you? But this is such a delightfully understated, creative country. It seems, you know, it's quite natural. Wherever you go, the smallest kind of village has some sort of public art. Whether it be a collaboration of local people or a commissioned artist, that's maybe where all the tax goes. I don't know, but it's very impressive. And street art as well in Lisbon is absolutely incredible.
I've seen so much public art. I've never seen, well, the only other place I've seen as much public art was Saudi Arabia, but there's huge amounts of public art around here. And there's also a deep tradition of craft. They've really looked after their craft skills.
Yes, isn't that a wonderful thing?
There's
And
lots of money put into preserving those as traditions and skills that need to be upheld.
yes, and such rich resources as well, of course, to draw on natural resources. You are inspiring people. Don't know if I should get the artwork materials out of the cupboard or spark up the welder in the garage for a bit of sculpture. You see, that's the spirit on a Monday morning. That's what we're managing to do. You're inspiring, Victoria. Can't wait to get settled in and make art in Portugal. Hank Stelica saying, hope things start looking up for you guys in Portugal. Re-COVID-19. Been following and read about the emergency airlift into Spain. Hang in there. Thank you, Hank. I will after we've concluded talking to Deborah. I will have a quick look at the news.
I'm very jealous about the welder. I miss all my power tools. I haven't been able to bring anything over.
Well, I'll introduce you to Gary. He's a celebrated naturist in our community. But I imagine welding is one of the things he doesn't do naked, because I don't. That's not advised, is it?
No.
For the same reasons as universities won't allow you to use power tools. Yeah. Okay. So thank you for sharing why you're here in Portugal, and I hope the conditions become more conducive to you wandering around and being inspired. Perhaps we can have a look at this wonderful Starworks. Sorry, I beg your pardon, Starway project, because this has perhaps the most relevance and the best chances of coming to Portugal.
Yeah.
And are you looking for a venue?
This would be my dream to bring this.
Tell us more about it. Tell us more about it.
Okay, so it's an interactive sculpture that twinkles, and you can make wishes on it. So you're gonna play the video, yeah?
Yeah, there we go.
If you just pause it for a second, I'll just explain what's going on. So basically, star made of stars. It's made up of 222 stars that twinkle, and there's a console in front of it, and if you approach the console with a star, well, if you approach it with an object that's got an RFID sticker on it, it runs on a technology called RFID stickers. I supply the community with these stars that have got an RFID sticker on it. And for those of you who don't know what RFID is, the easiest way to explain it is barcodes in supermarkets. As you scan it, it has information. I mean, it is not the same as barcode technology, but that's for people who don't understand RFID. That's the easiest example I can give. So you get given a star shape that's got an RFID tag on it, and you take it to a machine and you put it on the machine, and the star stops twinkling. It's programmed to stop twinkling. The software engineer on that is a guy called Tim Panton, who coded it. And one of the stars lights up pink. So you have to find your pink star amongst the 222. And then you make your wish on the pink star. And then when you take your RFID tagged object off the console, it goes back to twinkling. But the star you wished on is coded to shine 25% brighter than it did before you made a wish on it. So the whole sculpture gets brighter and brighter the more the community makes wishes on it.
Oh, how lovely. And with, that has such a relevance for our times, doesn't it? We need vision and hope. And, we had a brief chat about this before, didn't we? It's like, the scientists are dominating the narratives of our time, obviously, because this is a medical and health situation. And who do you turn to first in that situation? Probably the scientists. But artists have so much to give us as well, obviously, in these darkest of times. I mean, would you agree? And how has it been for you as an artist to meet that challenge of keeping people's hope and vision and inspiration alive?
I think there has to be a balance. So I do believe that belonging, the sculpture that I put in the woods, was my contribution to society to help lift its spirits. But then I equally have to look after myself as well. So I think I do believe that I've contributed with my artwork, and I want to continue to contribute, which is one of the reasons I came on the show today, was because I really, really want to get this from the UK over here. Yeah. Weirdly, half of it is in America in a lockup, but the more intricate part of it, like all the stars, are actually in the UK. You can see it twinkling on that video now. So,
and a delighted user there.
So that's the console. It's changed a bit now as it's got slightly better. So her star's going to go pink. She gets to make a wish on it. And then it goes back to twinkling. Yeah, so my plan was to bring all the stars over, continue finishing making those, probably change the color scheme. All the frames, the blue, green and yellow frames of the stars are all painted in UV paint. So at night, it's incredibly bright. And also that helps if there's a technical problem. Yeah. It can run off 3 deep cycle batteries charged by solar panels. That's normally how I do it when it's displayed in remoter areas. But I can configure it so it can run off the mains. So what I need to do is get the stars over, and there's quite a lot. I mean, it's a pallet full. And I have all the electronics. I need access to a CNC machine to cut the base. I need to make the base, basically. But I also need people who've got connections with officials in Portugal, whereby I can get permission to exhibit.
Yeah.
And I'm used to doing
it. Sorry? I can see it in the Park of Nations. You know, by the Orient Station. There's a lovely concourse there. I could see this piece of work there in that setting. Absolutely. And people are absolutely loving it, Dee Dee. Spectacular, says Doreen Ray's over in the States. Love the stars, says Sean. And it's beautiful. Riesel Furtado. And Penny wants to know how to get that into some jewelry on a smaller scale, or even a bigger scale. And also, you're being likened to Marcel Duchamp here, with the added element and interactivity engagement of technology. That's not a bad accolade, is it, this morning?
Not at all.
And we need...
She's not referring to a thing like urinal, we're fine.
Yes, of course. Duchamp's famous urinal. That's in the man cave. That's been immortalised in the man cave in Alvazra. We need the star. We need the arts now more than ever. Absolutely, Hank. You're right. Rita, no. I'm not sure what that's about, Rita, but you may. She might wish to elaborate on that. She said, "Bon dia" or "Bon dia" to you, Rita, as well. So, yeah, folks. Seriously, I share your enthusiasm and delight with Dee Dee's work here. And you just said to me, didn't you, can I come on a show and talk about my art? And I'm so glad you did.
Yeah.
So,
and I love being involved with other people who are creative and can, join in and help and crew. And I actually took this project out to Burning Man. I've taken it out more than once, actually. I've had some of the responses have been amazing. I mean, we at 2:00 one morning, this couple came on 2 bicycles, and they turned up and they said, "We've just been sitting in our tent. We're married. We're going through terrible marriage problems. We're about to split up. And we're trying to work out how we can save our marriage. And we sort of come up with a plan. And we've decided that we have to come to Starway and make a wish for our marriage."
Oh,
they would make a wish. And then there's another guy who
I thought you were going to tell us what happened to their marriage.
I don't know.
Okay.
And
if you want, let us know.
Then there's another guy who was helping crew. So I mean, as much as their instructions, you take your star, you put it on the console, you make a wish. People still need guiding. Probably more so at Burning Man, when they probably can't even see, let alone read.
And for the sake of clarity here, what Dee Dee says there was Burning Man, not Birmingham. In case people are getting excited, like Gary and
oh
Pete.
My God, that's so funny, because I was making some little cookies to raise money for one of my projects, and I was going, I'm taking this sculpture to Burning Man, and somebody thought it was Birmingham. And he actually sent me a message saying, I couldn't quite understand why you were quite so excited to be taking anything to Birmingham.
How rude is that? It would look fabulous next to the Selfridges building in the new Bull Ring.
Would,
I'm
yeah.
absolutely sure of that. But not as cool as it does in Burning Man, I'm sure.
So it was a Burning Man, and then other people come, and there was another time when a couple came during the day. It wasn't at Burning Man. This was at another venue, a public park, and they came and took a star off me with the RFID sticker. And obviously, this sculpture only works sort of dusk and evening. And they came back at night, and they were crying, and you could just tell that something major had gone down. And I've no idea who Rory is, but I'm guessing he wasn't very well. And I kind of cleared a space for them, and they kind of had this sort of ritual moment in front of the star, which was really, really quite moving. And then I said, keep the star, because normally I recycle them. So what I tell people is, unless they post it in this little box underneath, the star won't come true, the wish won't come true. But that's just my way of reclaiming everything.
And being the Wizard of Oz for a moment.
Yeah. And then other people say, can I take it and give it to a friend of mine? And I say yes. Then other people come and they go, oh, my friend gave me this. I don't know what I'm meant to be doing with it. I said, oh, they've granted you a wish. Oh, and then there was another time when a woman came and she put her star on, and we had a complete blackout. And she just stood there going, well, what does that mean about my wish then?
Or maybe she was a shamanic white witch or something like that.
Who knows?
Who knows, indeed. But all of these mysteries I feel like we need to solve. Or maybe it's just part of the artistic premise and promise to leave them hanging there enigmatically. And look, there's some more wonderful comments from California. The tragic cookie shortage of Birmingham 2021, as if things weren't bad enough already. And Gary, who does speak on behalf of Birmingham on this show, says if you took them to Brum, they would probably try and eat it. That's not fair, Gary, but you're allowed to say that. We're not. Good morning from Amelia Island, Florida. Good morning to you, Diane. I know we've had some serious questions about life in Portugal as well. Please come back on Wednesday or get on our forum and ask those. We don't want to overlook them, but this morning has been all about art, really, specifically Deborah Davies here, DD, who is our new artist in residence. Sorry, there's not a very big stipend or fee with that one there, Deborah. I've just taken the advantage and seconded you to that task. But hopefully, this will be connecting you up. Maybe the Boom Festival will be a good connection in Portugal. And I'm hoping others will just be delighted seeing this video in the future, as they have been this morning. And thank you for saying to me, can I come on and talk about my art? So glad you did. Anything you want to share, say, as a sort of parting message? As our new artist in residence? Yeah,
if there's anybody that wants to get involved, anybody knows of any shipping companies or any sponsorship, preferably in kind rather than cash, because it's just much more fun if it's in kind, because it makes me feel like I'm part of more of a community.
Interesting, yeah.
I have one other very bizarre request, which is I want to do a project about the tourist tiles that you find in tourist shops in Portugal, the ones that have sort of supposedly genuine Portuguese tile effects on. I'm assuming
same shops where you would get this guy.
Yeah. But I need to buy in bulk to do my project. I probably need about 400 of them. And I've kind of looked on Alibaba and places like that, but I've never sourced anything like that before. So if anybody's got any ideas.
I think you need to talk to the ceramic museum in Aveiro. There is a ceramic.
I've been there.
Oh, have you?
I managed to get in to see that exhibition, and amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Another one of Portugal's understated beauties and resources, isn't it? Incredible. Deborah, thank you. Dee, thank you so much for being here this morning. It's been such fun talking to you. Do come again and keep us, informed of what's going on with all of your art and your projects and your collaborations here in Portugal.
And I would encourage everyone to do YouTube art tutorials. That's how I've learned how to draw.
Okay, you're letting us into the trade secrets there. Fantastic. So that's the big question, I guess. Has your drawing got any better? Would an architect know? Okay. Are you looking to grab a recent illustration?
That's a glass I did.
That is rubbish, Deborah. You're absolutely right. You can't draw. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Can we see that again a minute? That is amazing. You can't draw. What nonsense. That looks like it should
I
be a really
swear,
whistle.
if you had said to me a year ago and shown me that and gone, you'll be drawing that, I just would have laughed at you.
And that's all learned from YouTube, not from your fine art degree.
No, that's not from YouTube. That is literally just following people.
How incredible. How incredible.
And just not worrying. Just stop with the sort of I can't do it, I can't do it, I can't do it. I kind of just didn't give myself much voice, really.
Okay, we got a recommendation for you. Doreen says you should try the Van Gogh or Van Gogh. I don't know if you say Gough or Go as an artist, Dee. But in Amsterdam, Starry Night, they are receptive to such work, says Doreen there. And Antonio F. Is Dee looking for azulejos to paint? So the tiles you want, are they to paint or are they to be mosaic? To what's the deal?
I need them painted because I actually want to remove the paint. That's
okay. Oh, okay. It has got me thinking. All right. So, maybe, Antonio, there's your answer. Step one to being awesome. Give yourself permission. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? It's like, this thing about dance like no one's looking and sing like no one's listening. It's also to draw like you think you can or some similar bon mot way of expressing it. Yeah, give yourself permission to fail. Absolutely.
I did a 1-day little course that was outdoors. And I literally turned up and I just thought, what have I got to lose? I can't do it. I might as well just do what she says. And I went off and I did this sort of, I think it was a courgette patch. And I literally just had no expectations whatsoever. Kind of did it, wasn't really thinking, kind of didn't care. Came back, showed everybody in the class and somebody went, oh my God, that's amazing. Can I buy it?
Yes.
And I just went, of course you can. Like I've been selling them my entire life.
Fantastic. So there you go. Proof of give yourself permission to fail. Step out of your comfort zone. And look, a practical offer from head gardener. It's amazing. We've had an amazing couple of weeks. We've got a head gardener and an artist in residence now. Hi, Dee, man with a van in Sintra. If you need a hand, give me a call. How lovely
Loads of fir cones. I need a van full of fir cones.
Seriously, he's your man. So we want photographs. We want photographs as that to document this artwork. And look, Terence, we do have a lovely one of our community, Terence Austin. Maybe we should get Terence to give us online. Yeah, a man cave evening. We could do a life drawing session, Gary, and obviously we've got a model in you, and Terence could teach us how to draw. That's fantastic! What a result! And so many more ladies will turn up for that one, Gary. That's fantastic. And yes, Gary gets a chance to crack his favourite joke. That outfit looks like it needs ironing. Terence is amazing, says Victoria. Oh, and here we go. The paint in the tiles are cooked with the tile itself to endure the weather and the passage of time. At least that was the traditional way of doing tiles in Portugal. I think Didi's got a plan up her sleeve with these painted tiles. Wine and painting in the man cave. Fantastic idea, says Hank. It's a result. Thanks to your inspiration this morning, Deborah. So great to have you here. Look forward to speaking to you again soon. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Off she goes back to foggy Sintra to look out the window and not even be able to see a leaf at the moment to receive Arctic inspiration. Well, yeah, actually, the last 2 weeks she's probably been getting Arctic inspiration, as well as not getting artistic inspiration from passing leaves, as Gary's been doing. I hesitate to do this, but I would like to just have a quick look at the news headlines because that's what that's my promise on a Monday morning is to take you through some of the news articles that may be of use and practical benefit to you in the week ahead. So let's take a look at the Portugal Resident. Skim the headlines. We might dive into something that takes our fancy this morning. There is obviously lots going on as far as pandemic restrictions and so on goes on. But what a transition there from inspiration and love, light and hope and art to what's going on in the world. But let's do it. Although man cave painting sounds frightening, how very dare you, Victoria? Has long isn't body painting. I'm not sure what that means, but we're not going to be doing body painting, Joel. Behave yourself. Victoria Benson Who doesn't love a good horror movie, though? Honestly, you lot, what you like? So let's just take a look at the news headlines here. Portugal's justice system, thanks to the Portugal resident for these, Portugal's justice system will be completely flawed by the time the pandemic comes to a close. Oh, look, it's just one uplifting thing after another here. Portugal frontier crossings reduced to authorised points of passage. In case people were wondering about moving around and an alternative to being in a Heathrow hotel at your own £1,500 expense for 10 days. Some people were talking, weren't they, about driving and coming through Spain. That may not be as easy as it first sounded. Marked drop in number of new virus cases in Portugal. That's good news, isn't it? But deaths and hospital admissions still way too high. So hopefully these measures are having that effect, and there is a connection there. Economists warn more unemployment is on way for Portugal. I don't think you need to be Sherlock Holmes to figure that out, do you? Culture workers, talking of art all this morning, culture workers protest online, call for more support amid the pandemic. This is a slightly lighter note, isn't it? The Obidos International Chocolate Festival 2021 to take place online. Why don't we have an outing? We could have a virtual meetup, couldn't we? If we could. I'll advertise that nearer the time, and maybe we could meet up online and enjoy that Obidos International Chocolate Festival together. Portugal's unemployment rate falls to 7.1 in November, but rises year on year. Another it's kind of devil in the detail sort of story there. It sounds like good news, doesn't it? But obviously we can get a sense of the longer term situation there. And AstraZeneca vaccine arrives in Portugal on February the 9th, for those who wanted to know that, with doubts swirling over who should take it, with the politicians saying, no, let vulnerable people have it, and stepping out the way. And the Bragança Carnival, you might have seen this picture before. Let's finish with this, shall we? As well as mentioning that Austria and Germany have stepped in to help Portugal's COVID crisis. This is an interesting cultural event in the north of Portugal, in Bragança. And you might have seen this, when you see sort of stock photos of Portugal, you may well have seen these marvellous costumes that I hope will show up on the screen in just a moment. But the Bragança Carnival reinvents itself amid pandemic to be celebrated. Again, another cultural event. So instead of being cancelled, is going online. The Bragança Carnival is taking place online this year in February due to the pandemic, offering virtual classes with chefs and mask making lessons. That looks like fun. People will also be able to order the typical Butella. I'm sorry, there's just something funny, isn't there, about ordering a typical sausage online? In previous years, the streets of the city of Bragança in northern Portugal and a tent in Lisbon's Praça de Camões Square were bustling with people celebrating the Butelo and Cazulas festival and the Carretos festival. This year will be different. And that picture there, just to end on that look at that. That's the traditional look of Bragança there. Wouldn't that be terrifying? I mean, we had Deborah talking about Burning Man. I imagine one of these has turned up at Burning Man from time to time. But that puts a Morris dancer in the shade, didn't it? That's an incredible outfit with the mask and the almost like Jamaican coloured fringing there. But there you go, that Bragança festival. Maybe we should turn up there as well. Should we have a series of events where we all kind of go to these things online together? A chocolate festival and the Bragança festival. It's sounding pretty good so far, isn't it? Those are Carretos. That is what those are then. Carretos. Interesting. Sounds like last Christmas. Let's have a look at your last few comments here as we get up to 10 o'clock. Still talk of body painting in there, I think. Some people just won't let it lie, will they? English settlement. I'm not sure what that is, what that means. Hashtag English settlement. Is it safe to click on that, Victoria? Does sound like a horror movie to him. To Gary, that is our life model. Body painting and whiskey. Hank's raising the stakes. Okay, it's a deal, says Victoria. Sounds like, I see. That sounds like the Christmas she just had. Victoria, you need your own sort of column, I think, here, talking of your rather bohemian lifestyle, which I'm sure will be of some great delight to our audience here. Yes, we saw the rattan chair, which looked to me a lot like you would see in what we used to be called glamour photographs of the 1970s with soft focus. Gary's got one of those chairs, not the model, but he's got the chairs in the man cave there, no, it's never going to happen. He says that now, but we know it will probably be okay. And thank you. I'll be in contact, says Deborah Davies. That's fantastic. Karetos, of course, the masks there from Braganza. We all need a box of chocolates delivered to our doors, and then Carl can give us his tasting notes. Thank you, Josh, for lumbering Expats Portugal with the cost of exporting chocolate to all our audience around the world. Maybe it's a sponsorship thing. Astrid, hi Diane. From this is Reese. People connecting in the comments, which is fantastic. That tradition, apparently, the Karetos, almost disappeared some decades ago. Glad to see it's still going, and glad to see it'll be online rather not at all. Up early to do more work on an oil painting herself, says Ree. Fantastic. Hank, have a great day, everyone. Always good to start the day with GMP. Same is true for me, Hank. Love you all. Thank you for being here this morning. Really enjoyed having a chat with Deborah. See you tomorrow, Hank, says Antonio. I agree with that, as I'm sure we all do here. Have a great day, folks. The start to another week in the weird world, such as it is right now. And we'll be back again tomorrow morning. And we'll have a little tour of a house in Castelo Branco with our mate, Sean Maguire. Sean, bon dia, my dear Maguire. Will be with us in the morning. Have a little wander around. If you've not been to central Portugal, not been to Castelo Branco and seen the kind of housing vernacular, I think architects call it, have a little tour of a traditional Portuguese house tomorrow. So see you then. Ciao, ciao. Beijinhos, abraços, hasta logo, te já.